Everybody, I'm going to talk about Nebosh safety. This topic is element 3, musculoskeletal hazard and risk control. This talking about the skeletal, right? So in this topic, I'm going to explain work-related upper limb disorder. What is limb disorder, right? Muscular skeletal disorders and work-related upper limb disorder. When we're talking about this one, typical form of ill health associated with poor ergonomic design are like back pain injury, right? Back pain injuries or back pain associated with a repetitive manual handling or poor posture or movements while standing or sitting for a very long time. So this simply means that back injuries can occur with the position that you are standing whilst you are doing a walk or you are doing any movement which is strenuous to the body, right? So you can develop injuries. For example, like you want to carry something which is more heavier in the ground, so that one also can create injuries. So in this topic, basically, we talk about things that will create injuries that will affect the musculoskeletal system, which is like the bones, right? So another point is walking related upper limb disorder. What is walking related upper limb disorder? This is a condition that can affect the arm or the hands. Example like the carpal tunnel syndromes, like inflammations of the nerve in the wicks that causes the triangular sensation like pins and needles, right? Or numbness in the fingers and arm pain, right? And also inflammation of the tendon in the forearm that make the finger movement difficult. So it's talking about like the fingers, right? Sometimes the finger is tender, things that can lead to the breaking of the fingers. So in these safety measures, that these are things that can cause harm to the finger, like the joints. It's talking about the joints. Then we're talking about also hand-arm vibration syndrome. What is the hand-arm vibration syndromes? It's called the HAVS, right? This is from a specific dose of vibration into the arm or into the hand or the arms, right? Sometimes you facing some certain shock when you are doing some certain work, so the vibration of the work can lead to the tremble of your hand, and it can also lead to breaking of your bones, right? So we are talking about safety precautions, right? Because these your arm, your wrists, they are very fragile, and also it can be broken very easily if you don't be careful, if it's in a strenuous position, right? So we're talking about collecting this condition. Collectively, this condition can be referred to as a musculoskeletal disorders, right? This is called the MSD. That is musculoskeletal disorders. Skeletals mean the bone in our body, the disorders, right? So this element 3 is talking about the risks that involve in our skeletal system, right? That's the bodies that are prone to when carrying a tools, right? Or other things. Then I'm going to talk about high risks of activities, right? In high risk of activities, we're talking about the repetitive operation. What is repetitive operation? Repetitive activities involve significant risks of the musculoskeletal disorder, including displays of screen equipment, right? Then factories assemble of a small components, right? Then bricklaying, when bricklaying, right, also you can face in this kind of bricklaying. Then this other scheme of equipment using some certain equipment. Then factory assemble of small components also can give problem. Then also supermarket checkout operation, right? Then matching the workplace to individual needs, right? So how we can match the workplace to individual needs, right? To save the skeletal system, every individual that is working there. The risk of musculoskeletal disorder can be reduced by matching the workplace to suit the individual need of that workplace, and ergonomic approach and ergonomic approach, right? So this simply means that whenever in safety precautions of the musculoskeletals in every buildings or every facility, they should build that place for human being or individual to be in a comfortable situation while working in that particular environment. Let's say if you are working in a very tight place, the place is not conducive, it can also lead to injury or accidents, right? So this involves the interaction between people and the tools and equipment or machine that they are using, right? Example, this can easy of use of this control panel, right? Then point number 2, the workplace or environment. If the environment is suitable, there will be no fracture or injury of person. Then you're talking about organization or factors like shifting pattern or the hours of work. So sometimes the hours of work also can affect people. Maybe you sit in a very long time, right, in one position can affect someone, right? So another topic here, we're talking about the ill health effects of poor tax and working station. Working station means that where you are doing your work, right? Let's say like if you are a mechanic or you are a civil engineer, right? Where you are doing your station, where you are working, your tools belongs, right? So the ill health effects of poor tax working station, that poor tax in working situation is where you are working, the equipment you are using or the facility that is there is not good. It can affect the human body, right? So let me proceed. What will happen when you are working in a poor station area? First of all, you can have fatigue, strain. What is fatigue and strain? Or on the eyes from excessive glaring or poor light or screaming, fabric, etc. This simply means if you are working in a very dark place, the place is not clear, you are trying to concentrate on what you are reading or what you are writing or the work that you are doing, you want to see what you are doing, so it can lead to high strain or fatigue. You can get dizzy in that workplace also, right? Then also you're talking about headache from excessive glaring or noise or poor light. So if you are working in an environment which is not good, lots of noise in that environment, or there is poor light also, it can lead to headache. Okay, the temperature also is very bad in that place, it can also lead to headache. Maybe you can have dizziness, you have a lot of headache also, right? Then we're talking about point number 3, talking about general fatigue. When you are working in certain place, you can have general fatigue. General fatigue simply means like dizziness, you feel upset, right? These are fatigues. Then we're talking about ache or pain or muscular strain from making a certain movement. So if you are working in a very tight place that is not conducive, right, you can face headache, pain or muscular strain. Maybe you are still, the place is very tight, your movement from one place to another is very difficult, the way you have to jump on certain things, it's very difficult. So this then also you're talking about ache and pain from a poor seat or design or a position, right? Let's say you are working, your working station is here, you have to design some certain things like ports or equipment, then you are in a sitting position, maybe your chair that you are sitting on is not relaxable, it's very hard, you know. So those things are the things which can affect someone. It can affect the bone, it can affect the skeletal system, right? So we're talking about another topic called the MS risk factor. What is MS risk factor? MSD risk factor means the muscular skeletal disorder. Disorder means that when your bone shifts, from the actual position, right? Then I'm going to further to explain. This will also be due to what? The physical requirements of the task, number one. It proceeds saying that the way in which the workers sit or move in order to perform a particular action or to perform your work involved in that task may cause problem, may arise from the repetitions, force or posture or twisting of your ankle, right? So the position, the physical position that you are working can lead to MSD. What is MSD? Musculoskeletal disorder. Because of the position you are working in certain workplace, it can affect your system, right? That is point number one. Point number two, the environment context. The environment context is the way in which the worker is affected by the environment which undertake the tasks or activities. This involves the light level or the environment perimeter. So this means that the environment that you are working, if the weather is very dark, it's not clear, the way you are fighting to do your work, also it can affect your body system. It can affect your eyes penetration. It can make you fatigue. Right, that is point number two. That's the MS, the musculoskeletal disorder risk factors. Right. Then we're talking about point number three, which is the equipment. The equipment that which you are using is the way in which the worker is affected by the physical characteristics of the working equipment itself, that the shape or the adjustment of this equipment that you are using. So the equipment that you are using can also create muscular skeletal disorder. Sometimes because of the equipment you are using, it can affect your bone. It can affect your ribs, like you are standing doing some certain work, you are wiping using some certain equipment. It can affect your joints because of the hours you are working or the position that you are working, so or the equipment that you are using. So there are three things which are risks in musculoskeletal system disorder, right? Then we're talking about appropriate control measure, how we can make measures, what are the measures that can be used to solve this musculoskeletal disorder, the risks. What are the appropriate control measures? That is solution. I'm going to mention about 5 points. Right, but basically let's talk about one control measures. I'm going drastically. One control measure, we talk about the DSE. DSE means DSE can also carry out, that is disorder, can also carry out and assessment of the user in a workstation to ensure that the equipment and the environment meets a minimal standard, that every environment that person is working is to reach a starting standard. Then the working station can also be adjustable to their own comfort. They can able to use or adjust this working area, their seats or their office, to adjust to their own comforts, right? Then also by providing basic DSE working station equipment that meets the minimal standard, right? Then also we're talking about providing DSE user with a free height test, right? So they should also have a free height test. They should also provide them with information and training how to use on the potential health risks of this DSE user, and also the preventive measures, right? Then I'm going to talk about point number 2, the appropriate control measures. I've talked about the DSE. Then now we're talking about the factory assembly line. That is point number 2 in control measure. Carrying out the ergonomic assemble of this working station to ensure that it's appropriate and can be adjusted to suit the workers' needs. You have to plan the workers to work in a routine like shift time so that they can recover, they should have break. These workers, they should have break in every factory assemble lines, right? They should provide information and training to workers on a potential musculoskeletal disorder or health risks. They should show them, explain to them what will bring risks to them and the preventive measures, how they can use their machine in every working station, right? Then we're talking about another point, which is say specific control includes. What are the specific controls include? It's also automatically the process of eliminating the musculoskeletal disorder, how to eliminate, to solve these risks entirely. Changing the layout of this working station. If the layout is not good, they have to change it for the comfort. In other way, it can minimize risks, right? Then also you have to provide a seat where these staffs or this operator, they have to sit, which will not affect their wicks, which will not affect their waist bone, right? They have to provide comfortable shoe, like a safety shoes, right? Regarding the floor, the mats that they are walking, the ground they are walking, they have to provide a safety and comfortable footwear or shoe or boots, right? Then also you have to allow short or frequent break. They should have break from the production lines and the introduction of this job rotation to prevent long duration on the attacks, right? So they should always have break routine system, how they can work, right? So this also can reduce accidents in a workplace. Also, they should ensure that the light is appropriate in every working place. They should have a light system, right? The place should not be dark, their light should be working, right? Or the weather should be clear whilst they are working. It can also prevent accidents. Then also introduction of ergonomically designed or hand tools, right? So any hand tools that they introduce, they should show a staff how to use those tools, right? Let's say like drilling machine, right? Like cleaning machines, right? Any jack tools for vehicles or how to use it. People should have the know-how, should be trained how to use those things, learn how to use this thing, right? Then I'm going to talk about another topic. It's talk about the manual handling hazard and risks and control measures, right? Manual handling hazard and risks and control measure. So first of all, we're talking about common type of manual handling injuries. Like manual handling injuries, which injuries you can have manually, right? Like back injury. Back injury short as polar phase discs caused by wearing and tear to the interval discs from the twist, lifts or pushing load, right? So like this simply means that when you are pushing a load, a heavy load, right, you can have a back pain, right? Then also you're talking about tendon and ligament injury. This one is also painful. The tendon and the ligaments of the bones also is also painful. It can also cause musculoskeletal disorder. Your bone can also disorder. Then we're talking about point number 3, muscular problem. Muscular problem also is a common manual handling problem also. It can, muscular tissue also can tear, right? Then you're talking about hernias. Hernias, it is the rupture of the musculates of the body cavity walls, right? Then also working relates upper limb disorders. It also affects the soul tissue of the wrists and the neck and the shoulder and the arm. Then we're talking about point number 6. We're talking about cuts, right, or bruise or bone or bones injury, right? Bones injury. These are called common types of manual handling injuries that you can get manually. Then assessing the manual handling risks. How we can assess it? Assessing it means identifying an hazard of a manual handling operation involve 4 key factors. What are the 4 key factors? We have 1 is the task. The task simply means that the nature of the handling operation, the way you handle these tools, or identification of these high risk activities, it can also lead to risks. Then also talking about the loading, point number 2 talk about the load. That the characteristics of this object that you are carrying bring handling, right? So it also can cause problem the way you load this item. Then you're talking about number 3, the working environments, right? The immediate physical surrounding within which this handling operation take place are flawed or in good condition. Is the light adequate, or is the movement restricted? So this working environment should also be in a good order, right? So somebody cannot contact or cannot facing any injury, right? Then individual capability. So you have to know your individual capabilities. That is number 4, individual capability. You have the task, the load, then you also have the working environment, how the working environment look like. Then you have the individual capacity. That means the individual capability mean the physical characteristics of the person doing that particular handling operation and their ability in terms of their knowledge and the skills, right? So you have to have the individual capability to do the work that you are supposed to do, so you're not facing any danger or you not be vulnerable to any accidents, right? Then I'm going to talk about avoiding or minimizing handling risks, right? Avoiding or minimizing manual handling risks. How we can reduce it? Control of manual handling risks can also be achieved by using this simple hierarchy of control. What are the simple hierarchy control that you can use to minimize the manual handling of risks? Number 1, you have to eliminate the manual handling by automation or mechanization of this handling machine. You have to put automatic, right? Then also you have to assess the manual handling. That is number 2. You have to assess the manual handling that cannot be eliminated by looking at the 4 factors of task, loading, environment, and individual capability. That you should know, you should be able to assess that person able to handle all of these things before using this machine, right? Then also you're talking about point number 3, using handling aid. What is handling aid? Such as trolley, barrel lifting, gill wheel, trucks, hose, and lifts that require some manual effort to lift the support, the load, but giving the workers the manual advantage. So also the point number 3 is using handling aid. Handling aid like trolley. If you know that things are very heavy, you have to put them in a trolley so it can help you out. Then you're talking about point number 4, talking about modify the task. That is loading or environment. Loading on environment, the task introducing rest break or on the job, right? Rotational. You have to modify, make it simple. The loads, the brake, and the heavy loads, how they can carry it. Also, they're talking about the environment. Also allow more space of handling activity, the level, right, and the floor where they are working. The environment should be conducive. Also, anything that is exposed to danger for someone to have trip or slip should also be rectified, right? Then point number 5, we're talking about ensure that individual capability are matched to the activities. This simply means that all individual that are working in this station, you should make sure that every job they are doing, their capability or ability should match towards the work they are doing, right? So in other way to avoid the manual handling risks, right? Then I'm going to talk about another point, talking about efficient movement principle. What are efficient movement principle? Before you lift, I'm going to mention 3 points. Before you lift, right? That point number 1, before you lift, check the weight. Plan the lift and establish a firm grip. You have to make sure that before you lift anything, you have to assess whether you can able to carry it. Then point number 2, the lift, right? You have to check, bend the knee down, right? And go down the knee straight as possible and hold the load closer to your body and avoid twisting, right? You have to go down with your foot a little bit, you bend down and carry the things with your body to know whether you can able to carry it, right? Then you number 3 say setting down, right? Setting down. This means that the same principle as lifting, right? Maintain a good balance and set a load down. So when you carry something, you have to adjust your balance, right? So you have to adjust your balance to know whether you can carry it. Then another topic, we're talking about the manual operation and power loading handling machine. Manual operating and power loading machine. I will talk on this on the next topic. For now, I will stop here.